There are no police coming, no courts, no laws, no judges, no prisons. No government deciding what you can and cannot do. You are stronger than 3 people in your group. You are a better hunter than anyone here. You could, right now, take whatever you want. Nothing is stopping you except the people around you. And here is the question that should genuinely disturb you. In a world with no rules, no enforcement, no consequences, why didn't prehistoric humans just destroy each other? Why didn't the strongest simply dominate everyone else? Why are we here at all, instead of having wiped ourselves out 100,000 years ago? The answer is not what you think. And it reveals something about human nature so fundamental that it changes how you understand every system of power ever built. Let's start with the assumption most people carry without realizing it. That rules came first, and civilization followed. That without laws, humans default to chaos. Thomas Hobbes wrote in 1651 that, without authority, human life is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. It is one of the most quoted lines in political philosophy. It is also, according to the archaeological evidence, almost completely wrong. For 95% of human existence, there were no written laws, no kings, no police, no formal punishment systems of any kind. And yet, human groups didn't collapse into constant war. We know this because the bones tell us. In 2013, archaeologists conducted the largest analysis of prehistoric violence ever attempted, examining skeletal remains from over 400 sites across Europe and Asia, spanning more than 10,000 years. What they found surprised almost everyone. Rates of violent death among hunter-gatherer groups were remarkably low, far lower than in early agricultural societies and early civilizations. The groups living without rules were killing each other less than the groups who had built states and armies and legal codes. Which raises the obvious question. If there were no rules, what was holding things together? The answer is reputation. And in a small group of 30 people, reputation is not a soft social concept, it is life and death. In a group that travels together, eats together, and sleeps in the same space, everyone knows everything about you. Every hunt. Every time you ate more than your share. Every time you helped someone struggling. Every time you didn't. There is no anonymity, no fresh start in a new city. Your entire history is visible to everyone around you at all times, and in that environment, your reputation is the most valuable thing you own. More valuable than any physical resource, because resources run out. A reputation for fairness and generosity keeps paying dividends every single day. Anthropologist Christopher Bohm spent decades studying hunter-gatherer societies across 3 continents and found something almost no one talks about. These groups were not leaderless, but they were also not led by the strongest or most dominant individual. They were, in his words, actively egalitarian. They worked deliberately and constantly to prevent any one person from accumulating too much power. If someone started acting like a chief, taking more food, ordering people around, the group responded. First with ridicule, open mockery and dismissal of their authority. If that didn't work, collective disobedience. And if that failed, ostracism. In the prehistoric world, being cast out of your group alone, with no shelter, no shared hunting, no protection at night, was effectively a death sentence. The group didn't need laws because the group was the law. Now stop. Because what Bohm discovered completely inverts the story we tell about power and human nature. We assume that hierarchy is the natural state, that dominance is what humans default to without constraint, that equality has to be imposed from above by governments and laws. But the evidence from 300,000 years of human prehistory says the opposite. Equality was the default. Hierarchy had to be invented. For the overwhelming majority of human existence, groups actively and sometimes violently suppressed attempts at domination. The alpha was not tolerated. The alpha was mocked, ignored, and removed. Which means the instinct toward fairness is not something civilization gave us. It is something civilization, in many cases, has spent thousands of years trying to take away. But here is where the story gets darker. Because reputation and collective enforcement worked brilliantly inside the group, and almost nowhere else. When 2 separate groups met, strangers to each other with no shared history and no mutual bonds, the calculation changed entirely. At a site in Nataruk, Kenya, dating back 10,000 years, archaeologists found the remains of 27 individuals showing clear signs of massacre. Bound hands, blunt force trauma to skulls, obsidian blades embedded in bones. These were people left where they fell, killed by strangers who had no reputation to protect, no relationship to preserve, no social cost to pay for what they did. The invisible rules only worked between people who knew each other. Everyone outside that circle was something else entirely. Picture yourself in a group of 25 people, 40,000 years ago. You know every face here. You know who shares when the hunt fails, and who quietly takes extra when no one is watching. You know who runs toward danger and who hesitates. This knowledge is not casual. It is survival information. The person who shares today is the person you will share with tomorrow. The person who takes too much today is the person you will not hunt beside next week. Every action carries a price and a dividend that compound over years. The system has no written rules, no enforcement body. And yet it holds, because every person in it understands something that took political philosophers thousands of years to articulate. You cannot survive alone, which means your behavior toward every person in this group is an investment in your own future. And then one night, your lookout comes back from the tree line. There is another group, strangers. You have never seen their faces. They have never seen yours. In that moment, everything that held your group together, every unspoken rule, every reputation, every bond of mutual obligation, none of it extends to them. And the question of what happens next depends entirely on which of the two forces running through every human brain wins that moment. The one that says these people are strangers, or the one that says these people are people. Humans survived without rules, not because we are naturally peaceful and not because we are naturally violent. We survived because we are naturally social in a way that creates its own rules, invisible, unwritten, enforced not by courts, but by the people standing next to you every single day. We built formal laws eventually not because humans needed to be controlled. We built them because our groups got too large to control themselves. When you live with 30 people, reputation handles everything. When you live with 3 million, you need something else. Every court, every constitution, every legal system ever written is just a formal version of what a group of 30 prehistoric humans already understood. Do right by the people around you or face the consequences. The rules were always there. We just used to carry them inside ourselves.